This is Advanced Automation Part 2 section of our video series. And in this section, we're going to cover VCA Automation, Capture, Snapshots, and Join Auto-Join. So let's pop into our VCA view again by hitting the Custom Fader Tracks view. And you can see we have all of our custom fader major food groups here of drums, bass, clean guitars, heavy guitars, lead vocals, and backing vocals. We want to work on the backing vocals for a section. So I'm going to go ahead and spill that into the zone. And now this becomes the VCA master, and these are the 4 individual members of that group. So if we hit play here, you'll see that the 4 members of the VCA group all are able to automate separately and move separately. So what we want to do is be able to trim up or down that relative movement, and a VCA is a great way to do that. So we've got our latch mode on here. We're going to hit play. I'm going to trim the backing vocals back a little bit, and you'll notice the red line lighting on the VBGV track. That's the VCA master. For the second half, I want it to go back to the volume that it was at for a little bit of a lift. And that's how easy it is to automate your VCAs.
Now, if you look at the screen, at the automation data, on the individual tracks, you'll see that there is a black line and a blue line. The black line is showing you the actual volume automation that exists on that track. The blue line on those individual tracks is what we call a combination or a sum of the actual automation on the track and what is going on and how the VCA is affecting the individual track itself. So that's the sum of those 2 automation streams put together. Right now, they are separate. So basically, you have the separate automation on the tracks, and the VCA track has its own automation. At some point, you might want to go ahead and commit that down and make that a permanent part of those individual tracks. That's going to be done by coalescing that VCA information. And how we do that is we come over here to the soft keys under Automation Actions, and on page 1, 2, 3, 4, we have Coalesce VCA Automation. Tom has selected the VCA master. That will actually light up that button, allowing us, like we did in trim, to now coalesce that information by pressing that button into the tracks. And then once we do that, resets the VCA to 0, blue line goes away, and now we actually get a permanent track of automation built into those individual tracks now.
And of course, that is undoable if you needed to in your undo queue list. And you can keep doing this to your heart's content. And you don't have to commit it if you don't want to. You could keep it virtual for as long as you want. Okay, let's move on to the second part. Going back to our VCA Masters view, let's try some snapshots.
Okay.
We're going to go into the action menu, much like we did on preview in the previous examples. Gil is going to either access it from the Actions menu, or we can access it from the dedicated snapshot button in the soft keys area. So we'll do that because we're actually going to want to store some of these snapshots. So what we'll do is for the chorus, we're going to try to get a different blend for the first half of the chorus. Capture is going to allow us to pick up anything that we're writing and punch it in at a later time.
So we want to do basically 2 totally different kind of balances for this chorus.
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
All right. So we'll give us a little bit more pre-roll, and if you're ready, we'll roll.
Okay, let's do one where we pull out the lead guitars, we boost the heavy guitars a little bit, pull back the VFX, bring up the BGs a little bit. Let's capture that. The capture light lights up, and hold down Snapshot 1 to store that. Okay, and why don't we name that?
Sure. So we just double press the snapshot button dialog comes up on the screen and allows us to name this. So we'll call this Chorus 1.
Why don't we, Chorus 1, Part 1 would be good.
All right.
Great. Now we're going to hit the undo button because we don't want to, any of the moves that I made, we don't want to store
we'll undo
those.
that.
Okay, now let's hit play again, and I'm going to come up with the second half of the chorus blend.
Okay.
This one we want the lead guitars up a little bit. Heavy guitars maybe down a little bit. Clean guitars up a little bit. And
actually boost the effects a little bit as well.
Boost the effects. And maybe a touch of the lead vocals up a bit.
So we capture that.
Okay.
Hit stop. And now we'll store this to snapshot number 2.
Okay. And we'll name this chorus part 2 by double tapping it.
Chorus 1, part 2.
Okay. Let's undo the move that we made during our adjustments. And now in real time, we're going to load these snapshots and punch them in. So go ahead, Gil, and take us through how we're going to do that.
All right. So as we roll transport, I'll go ahead and kind of preload the buffer with snapshot 1. And as soon as we get to the point where we want that move to happen, I will then press punch capture, and it will write everything about that snapshot at that moment in time. We'll basically roll through the first half of the chorus for that. While we're listening to the first half, we'll go ahead and pre-buffer our chorus 1, part 2. And as soon as the second half of the chorus comes in, we'll punch at that point, and it will write the new position there, giving us the second point. Roll through the chorus, stop, and we will have the chorus written.
Cool. So let's do this snapshot thing.
Okay.
Here we go.
Go ahead and buffer our punch.
So this is the first snapshot.
That's now written. We'll go ahead and pre-buffer part 2. It's flashing, ready to punch. As soon as we come up on that point, we will then punch that.
Great, and there's our changes being punched in. Now we're going to auto-match it out at the end of the chorus. Excellent. And that's a really fast way to sort of punch in between different snapshots of, in this case, just fader moves, but it could be anything.
And there are 48 of these snapshots per session, so you've got quite a bit of room to be very creative and use these at your disposal.
Excellent. Okay, in our last advanced automation example, we're going to show auto join in practice. So we've got some lead vocals and backing vocals up here on the board, and we're also going to change our transport mode to be insertion follows playback, much like a tape deck would. This is useful if you're moving forward in a mix and you want to maybe go back and pick up any little mistakes that you might have made. So we'll roll the transport, and in real time, we'll start mixing the vocals in the bridge here. Gil turned on auto join. So I'm liking what I hear so far. Okay.
All right, so right there on that bridge vocal, there was a really, really quiet pickup note going into bridge 2 that we didn't catch.
Right, so the lead vocal was way too quiet there. We need to crank that up. Now, notice when we hit stop and where we stopped, there's a red line parked, and that red line indicates where auto join will take over. So what we're going to do is use the back button on the transport section to back up a good chunk here. We'll back up maybe 10 seconds. And we're going to go ahead and grab that one line. Now, I may not remember what other tracks I was writing on, and AutoJoin will help me with that and take care, and we'll continue on as if we never stopped.
So as we pass the red line, everything punches back into writing where it left off.
Right, here we go with AutoJoin on. The other tracks punch in, and away we go. Now when we hit stop further down the pipe, the auto join line is moved to that further location. So that's a little demo of auto join. Manual join allows you to punch in earlier and move that red line earlier in time. For instance, let's say I didn't want that boost move I just made. I can hit play, and now Gil will go ahead and hit the manual join line before we have that move, and it wipes out our move that we had underneath, and we can continue playing forward now with all the other faders writing. So we hope that helps. That's a bit of auto join and manual join.